Hi friends, I am wellness coach Molly Stroud and I am recording a video memoir as a farewell to 2020. So my grandmother always said that I should write a book, and I would love to write a book. However, I don't have that kind of time. I have a lot of projects going on and I can't, that's just not foreseeable. And so I want to video record my message here so that I can share it for the purposes that I've intended the book, but to also put it out there and just be shared now because it needs to be shared now. So I have had a secret for most of my life. It has been an ongoing burden to me, and I want to finally release it and air the truth. And so this is going to be most of my life story. So, if you're a person out there who, I don't even care about the judgmental people, but say you want to just get to know me better, or you want to know my background, or you want to know why I've chosen this type of field, or where I come from, or my mindset, what I've gone through, how I want to help others, this is it. So my big secret, the thing that has eaten away at me for 30 some odd years, is my mom. My mom has been a huge hole in my life for my entire existence. Now, what a parent should be is loving and supportive and encouraging, and my mom was none of those things. So I'm going to start at the beginning. My mom was very spoiled. She was a blended family of two families come together, and she was the baby. And my grandfather worked very, very hard, and he bought her clothes at boutiques, and she's very spoiled. And in her mind, the way to get out of your parents' house as a teenager was to get married and stop working and be supported. Well, that didn't work out for her. And she divorced my biological father before I was born. My mom wanted to abort me, and my grandparents talked her out of it. And so she didn't want me. And, instead of ever really developing that bond, she just spent most of my life resenting me. I don't know. I don't know why, but I think it's a guilt with her own choices. So when I was born, and my grandparents took care of me for the first year, but when I was about a month old, my mom left for an entire month. Just like, oh yeah, whatever, baby, I pooped you out, bye. Just left for a month of my infancy for my grandmother to take care of me. She went, across the United States to go visit her sister or whatever. So she never really had a bond. Coming through childhood, my mom used to tell me things to go say to kids at school, things that were not, that you wouldn't do, silly things that would be outlandish or embarrassing. And she would tell me to do these things, and then when I came home to tell her how it went, she would laugh at me. So my mom was very much an emotionally immature bully, like a Mean Girls type bully. And throughout most of my life, I have been the target of this bullying. And you're like, why are you telling me this now? Well, because I'm really tired of keeping my mouth shut about it. And yes, okay, there are things that happen in your childhood and you move on past them. There is a huge discussion now about people who survive narcissistic relationships. And people who are in relationships with a narcissist, it takes them forever to escape and to get their freedom back. Well, a narcissist, they're completely damaging, but it's even more damaging when this person is your parent, because you can never get away from them. No matter what, you can't get away from them. They have all your information. They have your social security number. They have all the control in your life. And even when you become of age and you are an adult and you escape and you get away, they still have social control. They can still lie and make up stories and, pretend that you're whatever they want to paint you as, and people will believe them because they're your parent. So it has been years struggle of just a lot of misery throughout my childhood, and then really intensely focused healing throughout my adulthood, just to recover from this parent. So you might know, and here's the thing, I've never really talked about this, and I've never really told anybody about this. If you're a really close friend, you might know just a little bit, just a skimming of the surface of what that relationship has been. But I've never really told anyone this. But it is my baggage. It's been the curse that I've had to deal with for 30 some odd years. And here's the thing, 2021, I am about to experience exponential business and social growth, and there is no room for this anymore. Like, I have made so many motions throughout my adulthood to get away from this toxicity and this negativity. And like, she keeps stalking me and following me and spreading more and more rumors. And I'm just done with it. I'm done with it. I'm over it. Mom, it's pathetic. Your lies are pathetic, and I'm over it. I don't care. I'm done with it, and I want the actual truth to come out, because I'm so tired of it. It doesn't have any room in my future. And in order for the future to grow and thrive and be blessed, we have to rid ourselves of the old toxic garbage. It'd be like, you can't continue to nourish your body with healthy food if you're not detoxing yourself from the poison that made you sick in the first place. And now that we're on the topic of making one sick, I'm going to talk about part of my childhood. So, my brother and I were both medicated for issues that we didn't have. For me, it was epilepsy, and for my brother, it was Crohn's disease. So my mom took a semester of college one time at the community college. She always wanted to be a nurse. She was obsessed with doctors and medicine. She always wanted to be a nurse. And so she took one semester of a class and had this textbook, and she would sit my brother and I down on her bed and try to diagnose us with things. So when I was about 4 or 5, I had a seizure, which I now understand was a vaccine reaction. I have my records now, and I had the tetanus and pertussis vaccine at that age, and it was very shortly after that I had the seizure, and I was put on seizure medication, heavy seizure medication, as a result of small town uninformed doctors and my mother, who wanted to pretend to be a nurse. So I took heavy damaging seizure medication from the age of about 4 or 5 until my early 20s. They put me on Depakote at 4 or 5, and it makes you eat and never feel full. And it makes you kind of spacey and stare, and you're not really quite there. So that was my childhood, was zoned out and eating a bunch of food. And it it turned, my brother, again, medicated for something, Crohn's, supposedly, all this digestive upset and everything. It turns out he never had it. When I was in college, my neurologist did tests on me. He's like, you don't have epilepsy. You never did. It was probably misdiagnosed. And at that point, I was still, I tried to forge a relationship with my mom. I thought that if I just changed, if I did this or that someday she would love me. If I just, did X, Y, Z, if I just changed myself in this way, or if I just call her more often, if I move away, if I do this, maybe she'll love me. And so, I had told her about this neurologist and that, I never had epilepsy. And so here's the thing. I took sociology in college. I got my bachelor's in sociology because in my head I thought, well, if I can fix this, if I can fix myself and fix this relationship, I'll solve our family's problems. I'll solve this big white elephant that's in the room that nobody seems to talk about in my mother's abuse of me. So I thought that I could fix it, and you can't fix anyone but yourself. And so I've spent years, healing myself, practicing yoga, meditation, and detoxing myself from foods and losing weight and, becoming a better person every year, transforming into a different person and just bettering. But the thing is we can't change anybody. We can only control ourselves. So I'm like, where do we even start here? So at any rate, my mom, she has a deep-seated love of medicine, but the way that reflected in my life was she spent my entire life pretending that I was mentally ill and incompetent. So if you were to speak to family members, she tells people, anyone with an earshot, that I'm mentally deficient. She would use a much less PC word, but she'll tell people that I'm mentally deficient, that I'm mentally ill, that I'm plotting to kill her, just all sorts of, I'm a drug addict and a Satanist and all these crazy things. And even though I have continuous education, I've got my bachelor's in sociology, I've got my master's in herbal medicine, I've got certificates in child psychology, entrepreneurship, ministry, life coaching. I'm addicted to learning because I was never good enough. No matter what I did, she never cared. She never loved me. She couldn't stand me, to be totally honest. She can't stand me. And, out of all the people I've met in my life, good, bad, indifferent, we've all gone through things. There is no one in this world that despises me as much as my own mother does. And that hurts. That hurts a lot. It's a big pain, and it's a big burden. It's a burden to carry socially, when you're meeting someone, when you're trying to date, to say, well, my mom doesn't speak to me. My mom hates me. Like, it's a huge burden. And it's a burden that I don't deserve. It's a hole on the holidays because how much you want to have a family relationship, but they're absent. And it's almost like grieving a death, because you're grieving a person who's not dead, but they are dead. You know what I mean? Like, they're non-existent. They're a black hole. So despite all this education, she constantly tells people that all my education is imaginary. It's a figment of imagination, even though my diplomas are hanging on her walls. In her mind, I'm plotting to kill her. It's just all these delusions. Throughout childhood, I was never encouraged on anything, ever. I was always discouraged. I remember being very, very young, maybe 5, 6, and that's when she started making fun of my body. Like, oh, you look like a fat little barrel. Look at you, you know, why don't you go to Weight Watchers with your grandmother? Why don't you just constant picking on me? When I was 5, I had like a little boyfriend at kindergarten, and she picked on me ruthlessly, constant teasing, constant bullying. Life at home growing up I don't want to say it was like living in a nightmare, because I know there's people that had it worse, but emotionally, yes. Like, my mom, she didn't like poison me, or, I mean, except for with the medicine, but, you know, she wasn't like poisoning me or beating me or locking me in a room or anything like that. But it was just constant negativity all the time. She never said kind words. It was always picking on or making fun of. We never really hugged or touched at all. I remember being maybe 7, and I tried to sit next to my mom on the couch and give her a hug, and she like pushed me away. She wouldn't let me touch her or hug her. There were never, you know, kind words. Like, I'd probably like pay for some kind words, like, oh, you're so pretty, you're so smart, you can do anything. There was never that. It was always hatred. In high school, I had friends that invited me out to see a movie, and I wasn't allowed to go. My mom told me that nobody would be my friend unless I was paying for them. She goes, why are you paying their way? Because nobody would ever want to be your friend unless you were paying for them. That was my everyday life. That hatred, that abuse was my everyday life. I swelled up in size. We didn't know it. I didn't find out until I was an adult, but my mom has severe bulimia. So she binges, and we always saw the excessive binging, but never put 2 and 2 together as kids. But she vomits probably like 5 times a day, but she'll sit there and eat like 3 cereal bowls full of ice cream like it's water, like just nothing. And I mean, that was our childhood, was snack cakes and ice cream and cereal and, just snacks in the house. And so with the weight gain from the medication and the snacks in the house and the unhealthy foods, by the time I graduated high school, I was obese, depressed, miserable. I'm 5'5", and I was 235 pounds and a size 26 pants. I was so miserable. Every day in high school, I hid in my room. I hid in my room just unhappy and depressed and, just miserable. I was a really good kid. I didn't go anywhere. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. I didn't have friends, so I didn't get in any trouble. I wasn't allowed to leave the house, really. I was pretty much there. The only escape that I got from our house was I had a neighbor girl that was 3 houses down, and we're still friends. And we would go outside in the, to the park or whatever and play ball and ride our bikes. And I'm talking high school, not middle school, not elementary school. I'm talking high school. That was the only escape I got from our home. And so throughout high school, I was very, very depressed. Even before then, I was very depressed. I mean, like, I'm 6, 7 years old, and everything my mom says to me is negative. You're so fat. You look so unshapely in this. You're so dumb. You're so that. It's constant. I think the only thing that saved my life was my stepdad. My mom was a pretty quick mover because she met my stepdad when I was 3 months old. And like, my daughter's 3.5, and I'm just now thinking about, maybe I could start dating. So my mom wasn't wasting no time. Let's just say that. So she had me, spent a month in New Hampshire away from me. And then by the time I was 3 months, found a guy to kind of ease her parenting. But no, thank you, Angel. But I am so grateful for my stepdad because he really treated me and my brother equal. He was sweet to me. He used to say he was dating his girls, you know. He was really the saving grace in our household, and he was so quiet. He would work a lot, and Jocelina, I'm on a video right now. Can you watch Mickey Mouse for a minute, please? So, and I'm not going to negate that parenting is hard. You know, I'm not going to negate that. But my stepdad was just very fair. He was really the only one that cared about me. Oh, man. And here's the reason why I don't want to write the book is because I just don't want to dig through I don't want to have to dig through all the pain. You know what I mean? Every little last pain. Every single time she hurt me, every single time she broke me, every single time she beat me down. I remember my brother was so favored that at one point I would actually follow him around because I thought maybe if I just followed him around and did what he did, that she would love me. I was a child crying out for help, and she just... anytime she'd see a flaw, instead of genuinely caring, she would just use it to rip me apart. You know, if I wanted attention, you know, and tried to be affectionate, oh, you're so clingy, you're so needy. If she berated me and made fun of me and hurt my feelings, and I told her, hey, what you said hurt my feelings. Oh, you're just a spoiled brat. You know, or... the one I love, the narcissist, you can't take a joke. You're so ugly. You're so stupid. Well, you know, that hurts me. Oh, you just can't take a joke. Whatever. It's me. Deep down, narcissists hate themselves. They don't love themselves. They hate themselves. And the only thing that makes them feel better is to hurt others. I remember as a kid, like, I would say my mom is probably really bipolar, because being around the house growing up was like walking on eggshells. And there's a big difference if your moods have purpose or if they don't. Like, if you're depressed because you're being abused, you don't have depression. Your feelings are valid and they're situational. You know, for someone who's bipolar, 1 minute, I mean, she would be flitting around the kitchen singing, la la la, it's a beautiful day, you know, singing wildly crazy. And then the next, she's pissed off and she is spewing venom and she's angry and she's vehement. I remember several times as a preteen teenager, she taught me not to look anyone in the eye, because if I looked at her in the face, she would be so paranoid. She'd go, "Why are you looking at me like that?" And I'd be like, "I don't know. I don't know how I'm looking at you. What? I don't know. I'm not trying to look at you. You're looking at me this way. I'm not looking at you. I don't know what you're talking about." It was terrifying. It was constantly walking on eggshells. And so I learned to keep my eyes to the ground, to avoid confrontation with her, and her paranoia. And then later, because I developed into an abused person who was afraid to look people in the eye, who looked down, who was recessed and quiet and terrified all the time. After college, I got this job. I was teaching children with autism. And it was challenging, but it was also really rewarding. Well, what she would do is she takes pieces of reality and twists them into a story. And so because I was teaching children with autism, she made up a new story that I had autism, right? Because she tells everyone that I'm mentally incapacitated. She uses the R word. She tells everyone this because in her mind, it gives her validity for not loving me. It gives her validation for her lack of empathy and her lack of feeling and her lack of care towards me. So, yeah. And growing up this way, it's like, well, why is this important? You're telling me all these stories. You know, you're an adult. Why is this important? Well, because it shapes who you are. It shapes who you are completely. Your parent is supposed to provide a safe, warm, stable, loving home and encouragement for you to grow and develop into a whole person, right? And I did not have that. Like, I was fed and watered, and then once I was old enough, it's like, bye-bye, like, go away. I don't want to go into all the stories of hatred that my mom has given me. I don't want to make this like a cry zone or anything like that. But I just want the truth to be out there, you know, because there are times I'm disappointed in myself because I feel like I could have so much business success and so much growth if I had started out as a whole person, as not a broken, abused, beat down person. Had I been encouraged or supported in any type of way, I could really do amazing things. And there are other people who see me and they think, oh my God, you're so pretty, you're so happy, you must have had everything. And that is not the truth at all. The truth is that I've done everything. Like, I ended up this way because I parented myself. I'll actually show you guys. Let me show you a little picture of what we're talking about. Okay. So, I'll show you what I looked like. So my mom would always force me to get my hair cut short, probably to, you know, narcissists. I'm in a support group for women who have had narcissistic mothers. And they all seem to have the same story, which is pretty amazing. But a lot of times narcissistic mothers will force their daughters to get their hair cut short. Look at that little dork. That was me, I think 6th grade, right? But they'll force their kids to kind of look ugly and be fat because it doesn't compete with them. My mom used to body shame me. She would take my hand-me-downs and like put them on her because I was heavy. And she'd be like, oh, ha, look how so much room, ha, ha, ha. Like, she was constantly mocking me. And in fact, the only times that she was really, truly happy was when she was hurting someone. I mean, my grandparents, we used to go to the mall every Saturday. We go to the mall, we go shopping, and we go out to eat. And every trip, all my mom would talk about, if she's eating, she's talking about the food and how good the food is. And like, oh my God, rum, 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 taste this, rum, rum, you know, like binging. And if we were out publicly, she would be making fun of someone. Like at the mall, look at that fat person. Look at that. Look at the ass on that fat person. And I'm talking like I'm 7. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's deranged. That's not something you talk about with a 7. First of all, only hurt people make fun of people. If you're the type of person who makes fun of other people, you got to look inward because there's something that you're dealing with that you're not dealing with. So I don't make fun of people, like, ever. I'm terrible with names because I'm not talking about you behind your back. It's not a good practice. But only hurt people hurt people. But even if you are that type of sick, hateful person, it's not the appropriate conversation for a child. You don't make fun of people with your child. So I'm going to show you this really embarrassing picture. This is me And, I guess we're flipping off the camera, but this is me when I was graduating right in high school. You can see me there. We don't get too much glare. That's me. I was huge. I was inflated. You can see my rolls like barely fit in my shirt. I was miserable. There was a time like I couldn't even tie my shoes. I was so fat when I was in high school that I had to like wedge my leg up, and put the sock and the shoe on and then unwedge and wedge the other side up so I could reach my shoes. It was terrible, and I was miserable and depressed. And I tell you what, the second I went to college and I got away from her, I dropped 30 pounds like it was nothing. So this is me. And this was me, fat and miserable and unhappy. And I just felt so oppressed. In high school, I was told when I was 15, my mom said, if you want school clothes, get a job and buy them yourself. Which would be fine if it was the same for your siblings. But my brother, she continued to support all the way through college, whereas me, I was cut off at 15. So, with a bipolar parent, their thinking is, there is no logic, there is no reasoning, there is no gray zone. In their mind, you are either an angel or the devil. And no matter what I did, I was the devil, and my brother was the angel, no matter what he did. He was out drinking at house parties at 14, and I never drank alcohol until I was 20 years old. But, I'm the devil. I'm the drug addict and all this other crazy stuff. Yes, dear? Baby doctor. That's a beautiful doll. Yeah, I would love to play baby doctor with you, but I'm making a video right now, and I'm going to be done in about 15 minutes. You can watch me, but I need you to be quiet. You want to come up? So something that always went on in our house, and this is where some of the abuse stems from. It took me, I'm not going to lie, it took me a really long time to realize the extent that I was being abused. I was always told it was me. I was always told that it was my fault. Everything was my fault. Everything. That I was defective, that there was always something wrong with me. And this was like the core foundation of my being. And as an adult, it has been incredibly difficult to give myself the love and the support and the just everything. Having to parent myself when I've never been loved or supported or parented the way that I should have been. So something that I always wanted throughout my whole life was to be a parent myself. But I knew that I didn't want to be like my mom. I didn't want to have resentment. I didn't want to have regret. I didn't want to be hateful towards my children. I didn't want, just that contempt and that negativity. And so I made a point I went to college out of state to save my life. Being around my mom was incredibly damaging, and let's just say nicely, I would not have survived being around her much longer with the way things were. I had to escape to save my life, and I knew that. And so I picked a major that wasn't readily available, so it gave me more reason to leave. Now I wanted to go to Washington. It was Washington or Iowa. And again, the control. Well, if you go to Washington, you can't have any of your stuff. But if you go to Iowa, we'll drive you and we'll bring your stuff. Well, at 17, what kind of decisions are you making? I didn't even want to go to college. I wanted to save and buy a house. And my mom told me, you're going to college and you're paying for it. And she even forged my name on one of my loan documents. Like, I found that out. Like, it's her signature, but she pretended to sign for me. So, abusive parents, incredibly damaging. And what was so hard growing up in this abusive household, and what was so mentally damaging was that it was only me. You know, it was only done to me. And the person, the abuser, manipulates family members. They make up this story about how you're a terrible person from the get-go. You know, from childhood, when you're a little baby and you're just a sweet little baby, and they're like, oh, she's so this, she's behind in school, and she's so this and that, even though it's never true. But they're telling this, they're making up this fake story so that they have a reason. They're trying to justify the way that they hate you. And it's abuse. But as a kid, you don't know it's abuse because they tell you that abuse is scars, abuse is bruises, abuse is cuts, you know, that physical abuse. They don't teach you about emotional abuse. They don't teach you that being bullied by your parent, being constantly made fun of, being restricted from having friends, being restricted from leaving the house, being financially manipulated into large decisions. They don't tell you that that's abuse. And honestly, you spend so long being silenced and being controlled that you don't even know that you have rights. When I left there, when I was there, I didn't feel like I was even human. Do you understand? I felt like the monster under the stairs. Like she had to feed and water me, you know, but that was it. We didn't have conversations. There was no interaction. There was no conversations. Like, she would clean and make dinner. She'd go to work and she'd clean and make dinner. There was never a time that my family sat down and really had a heart-to-heart conversation with me. Like, any communication was either a joke or berating or just something mentioned in passing. There was never a time where we sat down and had a heart-to-heart conversation, ever. There wasn't affection. There wasn't conversation like that. It was just like jokes and making fun of. And that was it. That was them complaining about work every day at the dinner table. And that was it. That was our life. I have journals, you know, as a kid, and it's like, oh, today we ate this and went to Walmart. Like, that was it. There was no, I wasn't played with. There was no interaction there. I remember asking, hey, Mom, would you play Barbies with me? Go away. Go leave me alone. Go play by yourself. Every time. And I just stopped asking. But here's what's damaging about emotional abuse, particularly narcissistic abuse on children. When they become adults and they're sent off, they are so much more likely to suffer from sexual abuse, social abuse. They're more likely to find another narcissist. And thank God, you know, most of my life I've been single. But I mean, there were definitely sexual assaults in college, and I can tell you the exact reason why is I never was allowed to have a voice. Never. I wasn't allowed to speak my mind. I wasn't allowed to say no. I wasn't allowed, you know. My mom, her words, she just told me about, you know, how I don't discipline my kid, right? And she's like, well, I expect blind obedience. You know, for her kids, that's the way she perceives things. And you know what blind obedience does? It's empty. It's abuse. It's abuse. Telling a child they can't think for themselves. Then what happens when, you know, a creep comes by? Oh, blind obedience. What happens when a sexual predator comes by? Blind obedience. And that's the very same thing that happens, you know, to children who are abused, who become adults. They're so afraid to voice anything that when a sexual predator does come along, they don't even know that they are allowed to say no. You understand? Like, they're so used to being abused and being told to shut up and being told don't look me in the face and being told to go away, go to your room, get out of my sight, you know, that they don't even know that they have a voice and that they are allowed to have an opinion and that they are allowed to have control of their own lives because they've never had autonomy and they've never had any type of control. It's always been taken from them. So that is incredibly damaging. And what's also really damaging about a narcissist is they make up really complex stories about their family members. So here's where some of the hole broke is my mom always said that her mother-in-law had dementia. You know, I mean, every time she spoke about her, it was how much she hated her and how dirty she is and how she hates her and how she has dementia. And, you know, I had just heard it so much in my life that I just believed it to be true because I had heard it my whole life. You know, why would I think she was lying? And so here's a picture of my mom looking at her mother-in-law, and it's very telling. That hateful, resentful look right there. It's very telling. But, you know, I actually hung out with this grandmother, and she's in her 90s, and she's very bright. She's not lying at all. My mom's lying, but my grandma's not at all. But to my mom, every woman that isn't her is crazy and evil and whatever. You know, she said the same thing about her mom, about mother-in-law, about me, the same thing. So here's another, I'm going to drop another bombshell on you about my parental abuse. So not only did my mom medicate me throughout my whole childhood for an illness I didn't have, Munchausen, and then tells everyone that, you know, I'm unstable, I'm bipolar. When I was 13, I was still playing with Barbies because I was so sheltered. That's just what I did. That's all I had to. I was stuck in my house. I couldn't leave or do anything or go anywhere. So I was still playing with Barbies. And my mom, throughout my teenage years, like, I wasn't the door slammer, but my mom still is. She would come up in my room and barge in and yell at me and then slam the door. It wasn't me door slamming, which would be typical for a teenager. I was more the introverted hiding from her screaming type. But she would come in and scream at me. And one day I was in my room playing with a toy or something. I'm, remind you, 13. And she comes in my room and she screams and she tells me that I am a Satanist, drug-addicted lesbian. There was something else there, but I mean, it was just crazy. Like, I didn't even know what a lesbian was. And I have not, nor ever been a lesbian. You know, as much as guys are frustrating, sometimes I wish I was, but I'm not. I'm straight. So it was just incredibly damaging to have these things shouted at me, abused at me, and I didn't deserve it. Like, I was such a good kid. Such a good kid. Didn't drink until 20. Like, are you kidding me? Didn't drive until 20. Like, my mom started teaching me how to drive, and she'd be like, I'd go too slow, and she'd be like, you're too slow, you're too slow. Speed up, speed up, speed up. And so I'd go a little bit faster. And, oh my God, slow down. Blah. Like, just the screaming. This was her energy all the time. All the time. It was toxic. It was exhausting. It was draining. You just didn't want to be around. And so most of high school I spent like hiding in my room. But now here's the crazy thing. As an adult, I'm going to tell you about adult life, because in her story, right, my adult life has been all terrible because I left her, right? So I must be a drug addict and I must be homeless and all these things. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, like I've had some hard knocks in my adult life because I've been on my own. And there's nobody there to help me. Like, when the shit hits the fan, guess who's not there? The family that should be, right? So I rented from a guy, you know, it was close to my work, rented a room from him, whatever. He decides that because I didn't want, I don't know, I didn't want like a relationship like he wanted, you know? And so he screamed at me, would like scream at me while I was laying on the floor crying. He'd just scream and scream and scream. And so anyway, he just decided one day that he was going to steal all my stuff. Like, I paid rent, I paid all the bills, and he just took my key and kidnapped my dog and took all my stuff and left me homeless. And I had been working as a social worker at this time. You know, I had been working as a social worker, and it's like all of a sudden, oh yeah, by the way, you're just robbed into homelessness. And, you know, the times I've never asked my family for anything. Never. Okay? And the times where you'd think that they'd care to help and be like, oh my God, honey, that's so terrible. You know, can we help you find a new place? What needs to be done? That's what a normal family would do. But my mom, whenever something happened to me that was terrible, like she took joy in it. And she used it as a catalyst to put blame on me. Like, oh, you're so stupid. You know, all your friends are losers. This is what you get. This is what you get for having loser friends. I mean, just like constant hatred. And so it has been really hard. I'm not going to lie. Like, there have been points in my adult life, I mean, literally robbed into homelessness, lived in my car in Minnesota because I got robbed. I had nothing, you know, and I even had renter's insurance, and I called the renter's insurance and I was like, hey, you know, I just got robbed of everything. Do I file a claim? And they're like, oh, no, don't file a claim. And then they dropped me from their policy. And I didn't know because I'm young and I wasn't ever taught anything. You know, just because you feed and water a kid until they're 18 doesn't mean that you've taught them anything. If you've never had a conversation with them, you've never interacted with them, you just send them off with nothing, you haven't taught them anything, you haven't allowed them to grow, they don't know anything. And they're really easy targets. But I've spent most of my adult life by myself, completely alone. I don't get into relationships because my only example of a relationship is a psychotic narcissist. So honestly, I really prefer being alone in the silence and the stillness, because the way I grew up and the walking on eggshells, and the constant drama and the constant chaos and, you know, trying to escape that, I don't want that. I don't. Even as an adult, so I stay 16 hours away from my mom because I don't ever want her surprising me. I don't want ever her there, you know, just coming in with her drama and her negativity and her chaos. And at one point I changed my legal name because she was stalking me so bad. Like, she pretends that I have these illnesses that I don't. And even as an adult, you know, I thought as an adult that if I continued to talk to her every day, maybe me being away would make a good relationship. So my first year in college, she refused. Not only did she refuse to help me with college, they never did. By the way, I had the whole bill for college. Right? My parents never helped me. And I know, here's the hard thing. It's really hard to be friends with your brother, even though I want to. There's so many conversations that I would love to have, but I can't. You know, like, hey, did they help you with college any? Or did they send you anything on the holidays? Because they don't to me. You know, like, I don't get a card. I don't get anything. She doesn't care. She could care less. There's nothing sent to me on holidays. They didn't help with college. They didn't help with anything. They told me that they would send me something monthly, you know, a little monthly budget, whatever, when I was in college. None of that happened. She was just happy to get rid of me. And, you know, as an adult, like, I've sought out mother type relationships because I'm trying to fill a hole that was never there. But my first year in college, she even refused to pay to talk to me on the phone. She refused to pay long distance to talk to me on the phone while I was halfway across the country. So even though I didn't work, I paid 10 cents a minute for a prepaid mobile phone, and I called her an hour every day. That's 60, what is that? No, that can't be $60 a day, is it? 10 cents, 10 minutes, $6 a day. $6 a day. Which is what, like $180 a month that I was paying on no income just to talk to her, because she wouldn't be bothered to pay for long distance to even speak to me. Over the years, I really wish, you know, I've been putting into my business and I've been putting into myself, and I'm ready for my business to grow. And there are points of me that are disappointed in that my business isn't sustaining itself yet. I know it is going to in 2021, and I'm getting ready for that. But there have been times where I've been disappointed that I haven't grown as fast as I wanted to. But the thing is that for the cards I was given, the fact that I've evolved into this is pretty incredible. Like, I'm already a good person. I'm already a really sweet person and a kind soul and a smart person. And the fact that I managed to lose all this weight and gain positivity and be happy and completely transform my life, even though, it might not be 100% perfect, the fact that I survived this and the fact that I became whole is also pretty incredible. So just giving some grace there. But yeah, even as an adult, I would stay about 16 hours away because I just didn't want, I tried talking to her on the phone for years, hours long conversations. And in my head, I really thought things were good. I thought, yay, she loves me now and we've got a good relationship. And what I didn't realize is the second we would hang up, I thought we had a good conversation, and she would just turn right around and twist it and make it negative to everyone. Like, for example, if I had lunch with a friend, like, oh yeah, I saw my friend, Abby for lunch. She would turn it around and be like, she's such a loser. All her friends don't even work. That's why they have lunch together. Like, she would take everything and just twist it and manipulate it. She hated the entire extended family. Like, she hates everyone. I'm gonna be really honest with you. And if you know my mom and you think that she's cool and she's cool with you, you're being duped, because she hates everyone. And she's probably bitched about how much she hates you at some point. She hated her mom, right? She bitched about... My mom said that... Now, my grandma had open heart surgery in 1980, which was it was brand new back then. My mom is such a narcissist that she said that my grandma was faking her illness, okay, to get attention away from my mom. Faking heart failure, right? Because she just wanted attention. Narcissists have no capacity for compassion, for empathy, to care about others, to put themselves in anyone else's shoes. It's all about their twisted little bubble. And so, yeah, hated the extended family, the Italian side. Hi, I see you there. They always have a big Christmas Eve. My mom hated that entire side of the family because they had more money than her. Oh, they're just so stuck up. They're just so this and that, blah, 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 blah. Well, I actually liked them, right? They're nice people. I actually liked them. And she didn't care until I came home for a short time. And anyway, so, I wanted to make friends and stuff and get back in socializing with them. And so that's when she saw the opportunity that she could get in with them and say, oh, she's so this and that, and she's so how, all this is fake. And narcissists only value people for the way in which they can use them. Okay? And that's why, she likes my brother because she encouraged him and helped him to become a doctor. And so his existence alone, even though he doesn't care, he doesn't reach out to them. He's not sociable. But his existence is for her. You understand? She loves his existence for the bragging rights, to be like, ha ha ha, oh, my son did this. And here's the thing, no matter my successes, she doesn't care, because it doesn't fit her agenda. Okay? The only thing that fits her agenda is trying to make me seem like a failure or a screw up so that she can play victim and say, oh, it's so hard for me. It's so hard for me with a special needs child. You don't have a special needs child. Okay? You have 2 gifted children. Okay? You don't have anyone with special needs or anyone with mental illness or anything like that. But here's another bombshell I really need to get off my chest. So I studied sociology. I became a counselor. And of course, I went through my own counseling, because in order to be an effective counselor, you have to counsel yourself, right? So you have to get through your own depression and trauma and things like that, whatever. Even if you don't have anything, it's the responsible thing to do, because you don't even know you have something until you take the accountability to really dive in and see where you can grow. So I did counseling for several years, was robbed into homelessness, kind of got back on my feet. Well, here's the thing. So I have PTSD, and I've never been shy about that. I'm not bipolar. I'm not any of the crazy, whatever. I don't even know the things that my mom makes up. I don't even know. But I do have PTSD. I was assaulted by a police officer on my way to work. And so I did struggle with PTSD. I probably still do a little bit, especially with the stress of parenting. Makes it a little challenging. I had it all super zen. I was super zen prior to being a parent. Nothing would faze me. Just had my calm and control and focused. I've always been a pacifist. I've watched my mom and her explosive moods, and I've never really argued. You know what I mean? I've never, if somebody's dramatic, I just kind of walk away from it. I don't engage in argument. I don't engage in gossip. I don't engage in drama. But so prior to being a parent, I was super calm, kind of had everything chill, mellow. But at any rate, so, during my early 20s, I was working. I was living in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. I was going to the Buddhist temple. I was doing yoga. I was shopping at the organic market. And, it was hard. Life was hard. My student loans were $650 a month, and I made $1,600 a month. My student loans were $650. Rent was $550. By the time I paid bills, it was gone. So that part of my life really sucked, because I couldn't afford coffee. I couldn't afford anything. I couldn't afford food. I couldn't afford anything. And so every Saturday for weeks, my relaxation was I would go to the pet store and I'd hold the puppies because it was free. But yeah, that's literally all I could do as a college graduate, was go hold puppies. I couldn't even afford a cup of coffee. Couldn't have friends because I couldn't afford a cup of coffee. But that was the stress. It was financial stress. And my mom said one time for my birthday, she's like, "Oh, we're going to start paying your college bills, happy birthday." And she did it for 2 months. And then quit. So, thanks. Not that I expected, but she would always do things like that. Make promises only to knock them down. And it's I stopped getting excited for things probably in high school, because she'd promise me something, I'd get really excited, and then she'd knock it down. And it would hurt tremendously. So even if somebody's doing something nice for me, I don't have the capacity anymore to get excited, because she's ruined that for me. So I'm sorry, future spouse or whatever. Just gonna have to work through that. But yeah, so here's the big bombshell that I've been holding off on. So yeah, after college, I worked as a counselor, right? And I was assaulted by a cop on my way to work, and it gave me PTSD. Well, I was confronted with a cop one time, and I went into a full-blown panic attack, breathing, panicking, hyperventilating. And anyway, they sent me to the hospital. Okay, which typically, they, check you out, whatever. Well, I made the mistake of, here's the thing. Most of my life has been making the mistake of talking to my mom or trusting my mom or, giving your abuser another chance. So I spoke to her and I was like, yeah, I'm only going to be here for a day or whatever. They're just going to make sure I'm okay. Well, here's what she did. She called the hospital and she told them that I had, uncontrollable epilepsy, which I didn't. I didn't have epilepsy. I was off medication. She told them that I had uncontrollable epilepsy and I couldn't control my seizures and I was passing out and blah, blah, blah. And so the doctor was like, "We want you to take this epilepsy medication." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry. I don't have epilepsy. I have a doctor. I can tell you the doctor in Iowa, I'm all cleared." But because of her lies and manipulation, they told me that I wasn't, I had no insight to my condition that I didn't have, because my mom is Munchausen's. So she actually manipulated. And then, I told them, I said, listen, I'm a sociologist. And she told the hospital that was a lie, that I was just mentally delusional, drug addict, all this stuff. She told the hospital all this stuff, right? She told them that I had, and I'm just like a normal girl, like a normal working person, without support. She told the hospital that I had uncontrollable epilepsy that I needed to be medicated for, which I didn't. She told them that I was a drug addict, which I wasn't. And she told them that all my education was imaginary, and that was it. It was one of my delusions. And so the hospital believed her. They believed her. And so I had to spend time in a hospital being treated for epilepsy and drug addiction that I didn't have because of my mom. And what sucks is, like, time and time again, it's like, I am a really kind, really, really patient person, but it is really fucked up. Okay? It's really fucked up. I didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve any of it. But you know what? I've kept quiet for so long. I've kept quiet, and I'm just like, I'm the Buddhist philosophy type. I'm like, okay, well, what can I learn from this? How can I make this into a silver lining? And I did make it into a silver lining because she did that, because she manipulated, and because she medically abused me time and time again. I did get my student loan forgiven, which was amazing. I didn't get anything for being assaulted by a cop. I didn't get any lawsuit. I didn't get any vindication there. And so for her lying and manipulating me and abusing me and putting me through more trauma, I did get my student loans forgiven, which was like $100,000. And that was pretty freaking amazing. So I am the type, like, you can throw rocks at me and I'm going to build my house out of it. Thanks for the sticks and stones. But, yeah, it's not okay. It's not okay. And I'm tired of being quiet about it. And I'm tired of just not talking about it. It wasn't okay. It's not okay. And as time goes on and I become a more healthy, stable, kind adult, her attacks become more focused, more violent and more focused. So the last straw pretty much was when I was expecting my daughter. Like I said, I always wanted to be a parent. I always wanted to be a better parent. And I wanted to live enough life experience so that I could actually teach her something valuable, instead of just resenting, like my mom did, resenting my child for the life that I never had, which is stupid because it's not the kid's fault. You're in control. That's your choice. But again, narcissists, they don't take any accountability for their lives. It's everyone else's fault. Everyone else but them, right? They're in control. Like, yeah, your baby is in control of you. Like, sure. Okay. Crazy. Trying to think. This has been a long video, and I'm really grateful that I made it through this, because I really thought it was going to be more emotional than this. I thought it was going to upset me. But yeah, so the last and final straw was the birth of my daughter. Obviously, like, here's the thing. I changed my name so she would stop stalking me. I changed my name so she couldn't find me anymore. Right? And she still found me because she, like, I needed a car, and she's like, oh, I'll come sign for you, and, she tracks me down, and she stalks me, and she finds me. And she even has, like, family members stalk my Facebook. I've had to block her on Facebook for being immature and fighting with friends, and stalking me. And she'll employ family members to stalk me and to harass, get information. And I mean, it's crazy. Normal people don't stalk people. Normal people don't do that. Okay. Normal people mind their own business and live their own happy lives, and don't lurk and stalk and plot and scheme. It's just not normal. It's crazy. And I don't like it. I'm not putting up with it anymore. Like, peace out, psychopath. But, so yeah, the birth of my daughter, I didn't want her there, obviously, because, I mean, here's the thing. I have paid for years now for a P.O. box. Number one, to have my business, but not primarily so that she can't have my address. Because something that she likes to do is she likes to call the cops to my house. And of course she'll tell them this story that I'm a drug addict and that I'm, mentally deranged drug addict. And I'm violent and crazy and, all these stories, which couldn't be further from the truth. Like, I'm an off again vegetarian with, Buddhist philosophy. So, but this is part of her delusion that she needs to have. And here's the thing, she needs to have this delusion to feel okay in what she's done. That's the thing. Like, she knows she doesn't love me. She knows she doesn't care about me. And so in order to take the pressure off of her for that, because a healthy, normal person would feel guilty for not loving their child. But in order to rectify that, she has to make up these stories about how terrible I am so that she doesn't have to feel bad for the way she doesn't feel for me. But so anyway, my mom invited herself down to the birth of my daughter, and I said, no, I don't want you there. Like, I told my stepdad, I'm like, I don't want you there. I don't want her there. She's drama. She's toxic. She's stressed. I don't want it at all. Stay away. Please stay away. This is about me and my child. And, begging. Oh, I just want to help. I just, I don't believe you. But, anyway, I gave in. I submitted because I don't fight. I just submit and I keep the peace and keep the calm. And, anyway, so she came down early, which I told her not to, they're usually late, so she came down early, and I spent 2 weeks, really, really big, hosting her around Florida, right? Taking her to all my favorite restaurants, taking her to the zoo. Like, I'm doing all the work, giving this woman a fabulous vacation, when it should be about me and my baby, right? But it's not. It's about my mom and her fabulous vacation. And then, just the craziness. We were in line at the dollar store, and she tried to pick a fight with, like, a thug woman in the dollar store. And it's like, Mom, you're from a small town. I don't think you're gonna, but just, like, picking a fight with some random woman. Oh, my God. Just fucking crazy. Like, just craziness all the time. Drama, spilled her salt on the food because she didn't know how to work a salt grinder. And she's screaming at me. And she's like, this is all your fault for buying fancy salt. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. Like, just drama and crazy and spiraling, tornado, emotional whirlwind, tornado, drama and bullshit. And so anyway, she was so mad about spilling the salt that she said, like, that the midwife and I were plotting against her, right? Yeah. Like, I wanted a pedicure before I gave birth, because I knew I wouldn't get one for a long time. And I asked my mom, I was like, come with me, I'll pay for you, I don't want to go. Okay, well, I do, so do you want to come with or not, And so the midwife offered to get a pedicure with me, and so she accused me and the midwife of plotting against her, right? Like, plotting the salt and plotting against her. And so she began spiraling into a mental breakdown, and she changed her flight to leave 2 weeks early, right? Like a week early or something. And so she left, like, as I'm going into contractions. Like, I'm going into labor as she's leaving. She woke me up to say goodbye, right? Like, oh yeah, bye. I just can't stand you, so thanks for the vacation. Sorry you're going into labor. Bye-bye. It's not about me anymore, so I gotta go. And she hugged me, and this is my mom's hug, okay? She touched me with the tips of her fingers, like this. Let me try to see where you can see. Like this. Good luck. Good luck. That's the way my mom said bye to me when I was going to labor. Good luck. She's disgusted to even touch me. Like, just insane. And then having your own child brings a whole new perspective on your own child abuse. having your own child and feeling the love that a parent has for their own child, and feeling that my daughter, I'm not going to lie, kids are stressful. Okay. If you're that single person, right, that doesn't have kids and you think you've got it all figured out, bless you, because I was right there with you. I'm like, oh, I've got degrees in child psychology and I've spent my whole year, my whole lifetime prepping for this, and I've got all this education. I've worked with kids with autism. I've got this. You don't. Kids are chaos 24/7, day in, day out, night, day, evening, weekends, chaos. So yes, parenting is hard, okay? But there's an actual love that you have for your own child. And I never had that. And having it with my daughter put an even deeper perspective on things, on the way that you should feel for your kid and the way that you should treat your kid. And my whole life of thinking, okay, well, if I just change this, then she'll love me. It all finally came into picture in that when you just love your kid. It doesn't ever need to be earned. Your kid could commit a crime, right? And you're probably going to help them cover it up because you just would, right? You don't care. You love them that unconditionally. Okay. Having those hateful feelings towards the kid, it's not the kid. It's the adult that has deep-seated problems and that they're not dealing with, and they're just blaming somebody else for it because they don't care. They don't take the time to take any responsibility. I'm going to be done sharing for today because I'm not going to get in any more deep delves today. Let's keep it kind of light. This is light. I'm going to tell you from my experiences. This is just grazing over the top. Okay, we haven't dug deep, but we've got the content there. So, what does this all mean? Why am I sharing this with you? Why are we sharing this today? Number one, I want people to know who I am and what I've been through, because listen, in today's world, we are so shallow and so quick to judge, and that is wrong. People see oh, you're pretty and you're this and that. You must be uppity. You must have had everything handed to you. You must have insert stupid judgment here. Okay, no, none of that's true. I want myself to be out there because I want to be understood. I don't feel like I've ever been understood, so I would love for someone to understand me. Maybe this will be a little quick crash course. Hey, you want to date? Hey, you want to be friends? Hey, you want to work with me? Here's a little quick crash course on my life. So that's number one. Number two, I've literally dedicated my life to healing from parental emotional abuse. That's what I've dedicated my life to. That's why I got into sociology. That's why I've done counseling with children. That's why I decided to have a child. That's why I've got into holistic medicine, because I've found so many holes in modern medicine and was, chemically abused. This is my life's calling, and what I'm doing with it is I am creating, I've got Bright Life Wellness. This is my company right here. I love it, shining light and love and glowing wellness, right? So what I'm doing in 2021 is I am launching a Mindful Family Masterclass. And what I'm going to be teaching in this masterclass is essentially how to heal from your own childhood experiences and the patterning, good, bad, and indifferent, from your family of origin, how to heal yourself so that you can be a whole person, and then how to build strong, firm, loving relationships with your partner and with your child so that we can break the cycle of generational trauma, which I think is really important. I'm really excited to start helping people with this. But here's the thing. I should be more successful than what I am right now, but there's something holding me back. It manifests in lack of success. It manifests in weight. It manifests sometimes in almost like an emptiness emotion. And what that baggage is is my mom. And so the whole point of this video, of releasing this into 2020, is getting rid of it. I can't control her, but I tell you what, I'm a great person. I'm really kind. I try to help others. And even though, like, okay, I might have some weird personality quirks from being abused, maybe, like, let's just stop judging others, okay? Let's make that part of 2021. Let's stop judging others for their little quirks, and let's look at the positive and how we can heal each other and how we can unify and come together and just create a better world. Rather than picking it apart, let's build it up and put it together. But so the purpose of this video is for understanding, for letting you know how I want to help people in the future, and also to get rid of the bullshit, okay? I have had so much bullshit dumped upon me in this lifetime. I'm over it, okay? Bye to your lies. Bye to your manipulation. Bye to your abuse. I'm done. Okay? I've been done. Like, listen, if you're out there stalking and watching, Mom, like, I've moved 16 hours across the country on multiple occasions. Changed my name. Don't call you, because I want to be left alone. Okay? I don't want your lies. I don't want your bullshit. I don't want to sit there and think that we're having a real conversation when you're only using it against me, only using it as hatred. And here's the thing, for all of you watching, I want 2021 to be positive interactions. If you've got people in your life that are treating you like garbage, treating you like less than what you deserve, you need to tell them and you need to get rid of them. Okay? And that sounds really mean. Sounds mean. I'm not saying, throw people away. But I'm saying, in order to heal, you have to have a safe environment. And part of that safe environment is getting free of the chains, of the attachments, of the weights, the baggage that are holding you back and holding you down. Okay? So if you're out there watching this and you're having some kind of end of 2020 meditation, let's release these toxic energies. Cut them loose, envision yourself cutting strings with your scissors, clip, 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 clip. You can envision a light coming around you, a white light of purity, and then a gold, like metallic light of shielding, grounding energy. Have some envision that around you. Meditate. I just love this bright life, right? Like we're just radiating joy and radiating love. But let's plan this for 2021. There is no time like the present. We need to cut out all of this negativity. Let's be honest with who we are, honest with where we come from, honest with what we plan to do, and just move forward in positivity and light. And you know what? Just like the lotus grows from the mud, okay? We too become beautiful, magical flowers through our pain and through our trauma. And so today I'm sharing my mud with you. I'm sharing my muck in hopes that it will bloom into a really bountiful garden in 2021. I really want to grow Bright Life and our Mindful Family Masterclass, and I really hope that I can heal as many people as I possibly can this year. Thank you so much. I love you. Have a magical and blessed new year. Thank you.